I have made my way outside of environmental services and am joined by my co-host for the day, Lauren Maris, Environmental Programs Specialist. Why don't you start off by giving me the do's for the compost? What do I want to have in my compost?
So there are 4 key ingredients to composting. The first is the greens, and those are things like your kitchen scraps, the bare fruit and vegetable waste. The second is browns, and that's things like fallen leaves and shredded newspaper. And then the third is water, and water really helps things break down. We live in a dry climate, so that's really important. And the fourth is air. You want to get air into your compost so it doesn't get stinky.
And there are a few don'ts for a compost as well.
Definitely. You don't want to put in meat or dairy. Those things get rancid and will get stinky. So in an urban setting, we don't want to have those things in our composter. We have lots of resources, including how-to videos at reddeer.ca/compost.
Welcome back to the show. Still joined by my co-host, Lauren Maris, composting extraordinaire with the City of Red Deer. We are talking composting outside. Now, what do you need to make the perfect compost in your backyard?
So the first thing you're going to need is a bin. We use the Garden Gourmet composter. It's square, and so it fits really neatly against fences and in small spaces. You can have more than one, and they fit really nicely together. It also has air holes all through the layers of the compost bin, and so air is a really important part of composting to make sure that your compost doesn't get stinky.
Mm-hmm. Now, there's also a tool you need to help with that air.
Indeed. So the wing digger is what we use, and it punches all the way down to the bottom of your compost pile so that you get air throughout the compost pile, and that reduces nasty smells.
And there's also a water component to it, so a watering can might help.
Indeed, you want to make sure that you keep your compost as damp as a wrung-out sponge so that the composting happens more quickly.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've mentioned there's a few easy ways to make composting super simple by having a kitchen catcher of sorts.
Indeed, you just want to have something that you can store your kitchen scraps in so that you don't have to take it to the composter every day. So I use an ice bucket, a stainless steel ice bucket. You can use a plastic ice cream pail. Any sort of bucket will do.
Welcome back to the show. Spring is officially here, and that's why we are talking about composting at home. Still joining me, my co-host for the day, Lauren Maris. Now, there's still a bit of snow in my backyard, which is where we are right now. So when is the perfect time to start composting?
As soon as the snow is gone and you can find where a sunny, convenient location is, you can get started.
You leaded right into my next question. So we're in my backyard. Where would you place the bin?
So I would place the bin right here. And the reason I would choose this is that it's a south-facing spot. It's getting lots of sun, and so sun helps things break down. I would also choose this because it's on a pathway that will be frequently used towards your garage, and you want it to be a convenient location. This is also on your property, so that's really important that it's not going to be at risk of being run over by a garbage truck or something like that, and it's going to be level and well drained.
Perfect. Now, you also mentioned that you don't need to go out and buy a composter. There are a few other options for you.
Absolutely. If you go to our website at reddeer.ca/composting, there are some resources available to how you can build your own composter using garbage cans or using pallets. There's all sorts of simple ways to do it.
Now, the final question with this part would have to be, when is my compost going to be ready?
In Alberta, it does take a bit of time to compost. We get people started early in the spring in hopes that they can harvest in October before the snow flies. That might be a little optimistic. It might be a year before you harvest any quantity of compost.
Well, we've tackled the what and when and where of composting. Time to move on to the why. Lauren, why is it so important that our community gets involved and gives composting a try?
To my mind, composting is the number one thing you can do for the environment. So if you're at all environmentally minded, there's so many benefits. Most people want to do it because they want to feed their garden. They know that the nutrients are good for the soil. But composting also helps improve soil quality so that the soil absorbs water, so it keeps more water on your property. You have to water less, and less contaminated water would run off and go to the river. So it's helpful for water. It also reduces greenhouse gas emissions that come from the landfill. It reduces space taken up in the landfill and resources needed to collect your garbage. So many reasons to compost.